E1 versus S1. Today is the day you're probably pulling for Tribbie. You're deciding if you want to go for her E1 or her S1 because you've heard so many good things about the E1, but you don't know much about the S1. Maybe you've heard more about one or the other, and you want to know which one's actually going to be better for Tribbie. So in today's video, guys, we're going to be going over E1 versus S1. So what I first have here on this chart is going to be what it do. What do both of these things do, right? It is a simple breakdown of what both of these do. First of all, guys, the E1 here is going to be providing you with a true damage, and it can be kind of hard to understand because it says 24% on the E1, but it actually doesn't necessarily mean just 24. You can technically get up to a max of 120 because how this is going to work, right? It plays off the additional damage that Tribbie's doing. So if you take a look right here at her ultimate move, guys, whenever she's in the ultimate move, for every single target hit by an ally, you'll be getting 1 instance of quantum damage on 1 enemy. This means if you hit 5 enemies, you'll be dealing 5 instances of quantum damage on 1 particular enemy, the enemy with the highest HP. So what this is going to mean for Tribbie right here, guys, if I can quickly explain this really quick here. Basically, let's say you have 1 enemy, 2 enemy, 3 enemy, 4 enemy, 5 enemy, right? And let's say this is your boss enemy right here. Let's circle, that's your boss enemy there. Say this enemy takes 100k, this enemy takes 100k here because you're doing AoE attacks. This enemy takes 100k, this enemy takes 100k, and then this enemy takes 100k here, right? So essentially what you're going to be doing is you get 24% for each one of these enemies here that you hit because you've hit 5 enemies. Let's say you use a Herta skill, right, or the Herta for whatever reason, right? You're going to be converging all these 24% onto this target here, and this target will be taking 120% of the true damage. So this means this enemy would not only be taking the original 100k, but an additional 120k on top of it. So essentially you're doubling your damage, but this damage does diminish based off of the amount of enemies you have. If you have 5 enemies, you get the max at every single time. If you only have 1 enemy on the field, you're only doing 1 instance of 24%. So do keep that in mind. This does fluctuate depending on how many enemies are on the field. So if you have an enemy like, say, Hule, for example, right, where Hule will maybe have 1 ad on the side, you're maybe getting 48% at all times if this is Hule, depending on how many ads he has. It just really depends on how many side enemies there are that you're hitting at the same time. Also, if you're talking about a character that's not very AoE oriented, say like a Fei Shao or say like a Zila, for example, right, because she's getting buffed soon, you're getting 24% with them as well. Do keep that in mind with the E1, guys. It really just depends on how many enemies you hit and how capable your DPS is of hitting multiple enemies. So this means technically for single target scenarios, guys, your Harmony Trailblazer, your Remembrance Trailblazer is actually going to be giving you more true damage for that particular ally than Tribbie would be giving from this ability. This is going to be really good here for AoE, guys. Okay, so let's just go ahead and put that down here. Now, the light cone. The light cone itself is also really, really good, but it is very niched to Tribbie because if you're not using follow-up attacks, you're not taking use of most of the ability. And this is one of the main problems that I have with Honkai Star Rail is they are nichifying the light cone so much now. It's like, do you even really pull this? Like, really the only thing you're getting is crit damage for themselves. But with Tribbie, guys, this is using in Tribbie's case. Let me not get on a fucking rant in this video, okay? CD to the selves, right? So you're getting crit damage to themselves by 36%, so that's going to increase the damage they're doing from their follow-up attacks, right? So, hey, yo, very good. They're a good sub DPS, right? They're a decent sub DPS for them being a supporter, right? But on top of this, guys, you're actually going to be getting 12 energy for every single follow-up attack that they're going to be doing. They have the opportunity to launch 3 follow-up attacks per Tribbie ult. This means if you're playing correctly, you're getting 36 energy every single Tribbie ult. That's bare minimum. That's not even counting in for ER rope or anything like that, right? So you're getting 36 extra energy out with them just basically for free, right? As long as you're timing stuff up. And then on top of this, guys, you'll be getting a buff for her as well that gives you a crit damage buff to the whole team of 48%. Now, the reason why this is so integral, guys, this works for either your AoE teams, and it is also going to be working for your single target teams as well. So let me just bring up the damage formula over here real quick, right? Don't worry about this. This is a video that came out the other day here, guys. So heading over here to our damage formula, the reason why I think this is so good, guys, because it's touching on a couple different things here, right? It's going to be touching on your crit multiplier, which is really good. You're going to help those units out that maybe don't give themselves a crit damage bonus. So if they're not giving themselves a crit damage bonus, you're helping the earlier multipliers out so that her res and her vulnerability, or I guess damage increase you're doing to the enemy, or increased damage you're doing to the enemy, will shine a lot more because you're able to hit this more, right? Say you have an ally that gives themselves a lot of attack, right? So you're hitting that attack. This is in there for free now, so you're giving them free crit now, and then you're maybe they give themselves damage boost, right? But you're hitting earlier multipliers to make these multipliers shine more. So overall, right, like I feel like if we're talking in terms of a better overall solution for your account, I feel like the light cone is better if you're planning on using her in more single target teams and more AoE oriented teams. Like, this is the better overall solution for her. But if you're using her in a team maybe with like a full AoE team, right? If you plan on only using her in AoE-esque teams, that means anyone that really does blast. I think if you're using a blast team as well, this also can work for it. Let me put blast here as well, because I do think that is pretty good too. I think this is the better solution, because I mean, if you're using a blast team, you're hitting at least 3 targets. If the enemy is permitting 3 different targets to be hit, this means you're getting 72% true damage off. But like I said, this one is going to rely a lot more on either A, the team you have them on, and B, the enemy you're using. So this number fluctuates a lot more depending on the content currently put in the game, whereas this right here is up at all times. This is guaranteed. This is not guaranteed. The most guaranteed you get from this is 24% true damage here, where everything from this is guaranteed, right? This is a guaranteed, fuck a 50-50, you don't need to win any of that shit. This will be working in every single game mode. So guys, at the end of the day, which one is better for your account? I think it really depends, right? Honestly, truthfully, I think in the per best in slot scenarios, E1's definitely better. I would go for E1 any day of the week with the teams that I use her on. If I'm using a Herta, right? The Herta. If I'm using Miss Rice, probably going to go for this as well. So, I mean, if that is your case, I would pull for E1. Hell, even if you're maybe like just a new player coming to the game, right? I do think that this would help you out a lot more than this would, just because this helps your other stats for your characters, like your crit damage, also giving yourself res pin, like vulnerability as well. So, I mean, this also helps out there as well. So, this helps you have a more well-rounded out team versus this right here. I feel like this is much better for in-game. I do feel like this can work for early game too, but this helps builds out more than this would help out, because this fluctuates so much and it really depends on the team you have her in and the enemies you're against. So at the end of the day, choose what you want to choose. I think if you're an in-game player, this is much better. I feel like early game player, you don't have much AoE in your account, this will be much better for you. This will give you a much more well-rounded out account with your Tribbie. Anyways, guys, I had weird audio issues, so I have to re-record this part. Do I think that you should or should not, or you need to pull for E1 or S1 for Tribbie to work? No. I don't think so. I think she works perfectly fine without her E1, without her S1. Now, do you get massive buffs from E1 and S1? Absolutely. Will that break the game if you get E1 or S1? Probably fucking so. More so, E1 has the potential to do that more than S1 does, but that's the whole thing here. I don't think you need to get either one of those for her to be a top tier support in the game. So, take that for what you will, guys. I don't think you should pull an extra one if you don't have to, right? That's all I have to say there. Anyways, what are you going to do? Are you pulling for E1? Are you pulling for S1? Or are you not pulling for either one? Or maybe you're just not pulling for Tribbie in general. I don't know. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Later. Bye-bye.